Let's see if I'm having any technical difficulties today. How's everybody doing? It's been a couple of weeks. I know. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. Okay. Check 1, 2, check. Well, my friends, welcome to the Coffee and Biscotti Show. Unfortunately, I have some news that our guest today was ill. Sending some love to my cousin, Mr. Michael Bellissimo. So unfortunately, he will not be joining us today. Hopefully, we'll get our beloved Josh on the show with us just to say a few words. But I came on today, my friends, just to let you know that taking a little break from the Coffee and Biscotti Show. That's my boy Tuan walking around in the background, former guest of the Coffee and Biscotti Show. I'm here at his place. So I wanted to put this out for you, but I've done about almost 70 shows of the Coffee and Biscotti Show, and I want to do something that's really going to have some impact for all of you, for all my friends and all the fans of the show. I want to make sure that I'm doing something that's really going to have an impact for all of you. So I wanted to take a moment just to hey, there he is, Poutine Nation in the house. Is it 70? Yeah, almost 70, Josh, for sure. What's happening is that I wanted to do something that was going to be of value to all of you. So I'm going to pose this question to all of you who see this. I'm going to take a break for the summer and maybe relaunch and rebrand. And but I wanted to ask you guys something. What kind of topics would you be interested in covering? What do you want me to cover here? What kind of guests do you want me to bring on? When I started this, I'll tell you a story. Josh, our beloved Josh Leslie, said, Krumel, you need to have your own show. And this platform, Twitch, is a great platform because it's kind of like being at Cheers. You have your own bar. You come on here, people come and engaging with you in the chat, and there's, sometimes a lot of repeat customers, if you will, repeat viewers. And he said, this would be a great place for you to start something. Well, I said, look, Josh, I love the idea. The problem is that I'm not an alcohol guy. I don't drink alcohol. So I don't really want a bar. But I said, I would one day love to open up a coffee shop in some, either Caribbean island or in Thailand, where I spent 2 years training and fighting. And I said, that's something I'd like to do. So he says, perfect. He says, so why don't you open up a coffee shop on Twitch? And I said, okay. I said, well, you know what? I have a name for it. We're going to call it the Coffee and Biscotti Show. And he said, perfect. So over a year and a half ago, we launched the Coffee and Biscotti Show. And I had Mr. Tom Gardner, who was a client and a friend, be my first guest. And then, of course, I had such amazing people like my friend over here, Mr. Tuan Nguyen, who's with me now. People like Albert Wrong, Rob Meredith, Paul Newton, all sorts of great people. Lots of Tanis was on the show. And I've just had like a really, really wonderful experience getting to know people. And there was a trend that happened. Say that again, Tuan?
Oh, it was my nephew downstairs.
Oh. So I've had a lot of great experiences. And a lot of what happened was that there was a bit of a trend that was happening. And what I started to notice was that I wanted the show to be about passions and transformations. And the people that came, the people that were attracted, the energy that I sent out there, retrieved for me people who were professionals. So I always like to use my dear friend Albert Wong as an example. Albert Wong came on the show and talked about a story. He talked about how he spent years studying to become a CA. And I don't know if you know this, guys, wherever you are in the world, but to become a chartered accountant, I think the final exam is 4 days, 4 hours each day to become a CA. And he goes on to say that one night during tax season, it's midnight, it's a Saturday, and he's at his cubicle. That's right, midnight. He says, I do 200 files or something over the course of a tax period or a tax season. And he stood up from his cubicle and he looked around. It was dark. The only light was on his cubicle. And he said, I can't do this anymore. So he quit. He went traveling. And now, of course, at the end of his show, he said he's working for a nonprofit called Junior Achievements, which really is a program to help young entrepreneurs, high school students, become entrepreneurs. And what a wonderful program it is. And they couldn't have chose a more wonderful guy to do his work. So what does this mean? You know, what happened? Well, some might argue that, you know, he just got tired of his job. But let's go a little deeper with that. You know, what is it? Where are you in your life? Are you in a career that you've been at for 15, 20 years? Maybe you've looked after a family, or you have a family and you've dedicated your life to them, and then one day your soul almost screams out to you. And it says, this is not who I am. I'm not this person. As a matter of fact, I'm living somebody else's narrative. I've been living a life where I thought that this is what I was supposed to do. Because as you know, my favorite line is, I'm all about changing the paradigm about how we're supposed to live life. Is it true that we're just supposed to get a good education, find a good pensionable job, meet a partner, have 2.2 kids, and then work for 30, 40 years with the hopes that you won't get sick at 65 so you can enjoy years of the fruits of your labor? My friends, I never lived like that. I've always been the kind of guy that lived with passion. And living with passion comes at a cost. Sometimes it's at the cost of friends. Sometimes it's the cost of a marriage. But for many, it's the cost of a lot of money and security. It takes time to build a business. It takes time to go after your passion. But on the show a little while ago, I spoke about being in this exact place on a Saturday night. Tuan invites us over. We have a wonderful evening together with a bunch of boys. And I put a post up that said, you know, I remember the days when getting together with boys and we would talk about three things: vaginas, cars, and sports. And here I am, you know, decades later, with these amazing bunch of people. Daryl Bandoro, Nick Ham, all of these wonderful people that, you know, of course, Albert was here, Tuan's here. And our conversation was about being in your zone of genius. And we identified that there's three important things to note, or three important compartments or components rather, that you'll know if you're in your zone of genius. Number one was, whatever you're doing comes effortlessly. So it doesn't mean that what you're doing doesn't require effort, but the energy that you put in comes effortlessly. The second point was talking about that if you've set some financial goals, you're achieving them. So if you've put some financial goals in place, maybe you want to make $10,000 a month. Well, when you're in your zone of genius, you're achieving these goals. And third, and something that of course touches my heart because as a martial arts teacher, this was my passion, was the the felt impact of what you're doing. The impact on what you're doing and how other people are affected by it. And it's because of these 3 points that you can really start to identify if you're in your zone of genius. So I ask you now, are you in your zone of genius? Are you doing what you were destined to do? Are you living a life of passion? Or are you just chasing the good old dollar bill? And this is an interesting conversation because it's about finding that balance. And it's a difficult balance because it's a timing thing. For the last 2 years, after being relieved of my coaching duties because of COVID, I went to Tuan's house and I said, Tuan, I'm ready to fulfill my dream of being a coach. I don't want to call myself a life coach because I don't really like the word. So he said, let's talk about a specific problem. Let's work on something specific. What problem do you want to solve? I said, well, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough question. Because then he said, well, who do you want to help? And I said, well, I can help anybody. And he said, well, Mel, that's an interesting point. Because I know that the information you have can help everybody, but not everybody's going to resonate with you. And I went, And I think that at first I was a bit offended. I said, what are you talking about, bro? I can help anybody. I've taught children from 3 years old to fighters that went on to compete in the UFC. And everybody in between, CEOs of companies, executives at businesses. It didn't matter who it was. I always joke and I say, I got along with the saint and the scoundrel. And it didn't matter who it was, but I know that I have enough life experience that I could help anybody. But he said to me again, while that may be true, not everybody's going to resonate with you. So I started this show because I wanted to share people's stories of passions and transformations that you wouldn't hear about. Maybe you wouldn't hear about it in the news. Not the celebrity types. I mean, I was lucky enough that with this show, I got to fulfill a dream. A dream of interviewing a guy whose book I read 20 years ago that I call A Little Bible on Life. It was a book written by a guy, Kent Nerburn, and he wrote a book in 1995 called Simple Truths. And the tagline of the book was Clear and Gentle Guidance on the Big Issues in Life. And months ago, my friends, I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing Kent Nerburn. And what an honor it was for me. He talked about his story with Robert Plant and how Robert Plant fell in love with one of his books because Kent wrote a lot about Native American culture. So I did this. I got an opportunity to really have my hand at what it's like to have a show or a podcast or whatever you want to call this. But now it's time to get specific. And so I want to know from you, all the loyal friends and family and fans that have watched the show over the course of a year and a half, what do you want to see? What problems do you want me to tackle where I can invite guests, experts, to talk about that topic? Because I want this to be a show where people get value. And it's interesting because when I started doing content and creating content for social media, I got a lot of advice about, well, Mel, you have to have a step-by-step process. What kind of things do you need to do if you're feeling some sort of depression, if you're feeling some sort of anxiety in life, what are some of the things that you do? And that's how people work. They want a step-by-step process. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest challenges for me was I don't know. I can't extrapolate what the steps are. I just do. I know that if I'm feeling anxious, which God knows over the last little while, I've been feeling a lot of that. But I just know that the first thing that I do is I have to get out and I have to walk and I have to move the energy. Then I have to set a small goal for today. I don't care if it's as small as cleaning the house or doing your laundry or doing the dishes. And then after that, reward yourself, because you have to feel good, even if you did something small. And I guess that it took some time to really understand what it is that I've done. I'm getting an opportunity to go to Camp Olympia, one of the most famous sports camps in Canada, with another one of our beloved guests, Mr. Francesco Bazzacchi, my mentor and choice theory teacher. He's running a hockey team or coaching a professional or semi-professional hockey team, of which I believe 4 of the athletes are going to be or are in the process of joining Team Canada and playing for the national team. So I've got asked to do some strength and conditioning. So I'm going to be very blessed to take my little boy Leo and go and spend a week at Camp Olympia doing some strength and conditioning with this hockey team. While in the meantime, I get to introduce my little boy to an overnight camp where there's water sports and all sorts of zip lining and all sorts of great activities. But I don't know that I had like all of these things outlined or detailed. And I know that there's people that they're called content creators. What I know is I have a story. And what I know is that most of my friends tell me I've lived a life for 2 men in 2 lifetimes. And that I've had this experience. And that I had a knack for being able to talk and have conversation. I'm a people person. I'm a people pleaser. But over the last little while, I've had to really look at myself. I've had to take some time to, what some might call be a little selfish. The other part of that list of things to do is reach out. Reach out to people who love you. Reach out to your friends and your family. Moving to a new city was not easy for me. I've spent most of my life in Toronto, and 4 years ago I moved to the nation's capital, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And I was very blessed because the gentleman that's sitting right behind me, I don't know if you can see him on the computer, but I don't know if he's there. But he was one of the first people that I met. And I've been very blessed because he opened me up to a whole network of amazing people, amazing humans. And I can't emphasize the importance of having good friends and good people in your life. When I was a kid, it was about quantity. And as I get older, it's about quality. The people that were part of the wolf pack, that are part of the wolf pack, are an example of the kind of people that I want to hang around. And if you've heard this expression, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you who you will become, is the truth. And so I'm very blessed because I had the opportunity and have the opportunity to connect with some amazing people. I want to take a moment now just to talk a little bit about yeah, Josh, that's right. You missed Stream Elements, missed the memo. Michael will be a guest in the future. And you're absolutely right, Josh. Third time's a charm. But I want to take a moment, guys, to really speak about the moderator of our show, Mr. Josh Leslie. I'm going to try to do this without getting emotional. But this man is an amazing human being. Josh dedicated an hour and a half of his time every week with $0, zero interest in gaining anything from it. There's no benefit to him being here. Something that's going to help him financially or something's going to help his family. He did this out of the goodness of his heart. And just when you think that the world's in the toilet and people are shit and you're tired of meeting people or you're tired of dealing with people because, somebody made a comment about how since COVID, the world is really uptight. My friends in the corporate world says everybody's tight. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's now having to deal with hybrid models. Some people are going to work 2 days a week. Some people are staying home the other 3 days, whatever it is. But my friend Josh Leslie is the kind of guy that no matter what happens in the world, his love never wavers. I'm going to say that again. Josh is the kind of guy that no matter what's going on in the world, global pandemic, no problem. Interest rates are going up. People are affected by the Bank of Canada raising interest rates. People are going to start losing their homes because they're tapped out. Excuse me. Doesn't matter. Because Josh Leslie is solid. Josh Leslie is solid. Here he is. I didn't read it out to you, my friends, but you will see it in the chat. Went to a restaurant to have a temporary office to work from, ordered food, but there's no friggin' Wi-Fi in there for either my phone or computer. So right now I'm standing across the airport looking at my food, getting cold so I can listen. No chance I can make Restream work from here. See what I'm saying? This guy's in an airport. And he rushed just to be on the show. My friends, what you need to do, you want some advice from Crew Mel? Go find yourself a Josh Leslie. Go and seek out. Put the energy out there to meet some good people in your life. Because through all the trauma, separation, job, business, whatever it is, I can always count on Josh. Josh, and seeing as this is sort of the last episode before we take a break, we may even rebrand, and I would love your thoughts on what to call the show. My VA said we should call it Coffee and Clarity. But we're going to think about it. And we're going to rebrand. So it may not be the Coffee and Biscotti show when we come back. So I would love to hear what you think the name of the show should be. I want to hear the things, the topics that you want covered. Because the whole point of this was to have people and come and share their stories. Because as humans, we connect with story. Hearing all the stories, all the trials and tribulations that one person goes through, and then when in the moment of their greatest weakness, they rise up. They rise up from the ashes. They rise up and they find their greatest strengths. Well, I'm praying that that's what happens to me, because this has been a time of great weakness for me. But with people, with friends that love me dearly, that believe in me, I know that I will rise, and I will rise, as they say, from the ashes. So, my friends, I want to give a special shout out to Sandra and to especially Sandra, because she must have sent about 5 or 6 guests on the show, put me in contact with these wonderful people, and I'm really grateful to her because she's been a rock. I always joked with her and I said, if I was to liken you to a candy, you, my dear, would be a lifesaver. Want to give some love to a few people. Got to give some love to Franny and Vera, who were great supporters of the show. I want to give some love to Folkto, who every show she would watch the replay and put this wonderful comment, ask questions to the guests. So thank you, Folkto, Franny, Vera. Thank you for being here and spending time with me. Josh writes, just like Muay Thai forged you, all of this has forged you, Mel. I have no doubt you're going to shoot up stronger and taller than ever. Thank you, my brother. With friends like you, I'm destined to succeed, because you have to have good people around you. So, my friends, I've taken a bit of time to share some final thoughts as I close out the show, at least for the summer, because I need to make sure that my foundation is strong. You know, a lady who was on the show, Susan Blaine, she's got a wonderful project. Please go and look it up. Please go and look it up. It's called the Dare to be Vulnerable Project. She's working with another guest, Don LaChance, and with a group called, which was on the show, the True North Navigators, Rod, Ron, and Vron. No, Rod, Rick, and Vron. And, you know, Susan said something to me the other day. I was helping her with moving some furniture. And Francesco was with me, as a matter of fact. And she talked about foundation. And she got up and she stood up and she was pretending to be on a rock. And she said, if you're trying to jump to the next step, but the foot that's the supporting leg is on a rock that's moving, it's very difficult to jump. Your rock, your foundation has to be strong. For me, that's what I'm going to be working on this summer, my friends, is strengthening my foundation. I've retired from teaching Muay Thai at gyms, which is a big deal. I'm going to continue to do privates, of course, and continue to work with the Wolf Pack. But I'm officially done. I am hanging up the boxing gloves from teaching at gyms because I have to clear and simplify my life so that I can open up and provide the space so that new energies can come and fill my life and I can attract new things in my life. It has forged the spiritual metal of your soul, to use the words of Napoleon Hill. Even in the airport, Josh, you always have something brilliant to say. So, my friends, as I conclude this final episode of the Coffee and Biscotti Show, know that I will be back. I will be on Twitch. I just want to do something that's going to touch your heart. Something that's going to have an impact. I want this to be something that people watch and say to themselves, I gotta watch that show by Mel Bellissimo. I gotta watch that show. Because he's always got great guests and they always got some great topics and they're always talking about things that really affect us. What I can say, my friends, is we've been through a period of time over the last couple of years that has really shaken some foundations. And so I urge you to go and work on your foundation. Even if it means, in my case, taking on a job for now. If that's what I need to do to strengthen my foundation, well, then I know that along the way, I'm going to experience something. Connect with someone. And they may have a connection to somebody else that says, there's a position or there's an opportunity and you need this guy. And his name is Mel Bellissimo. So wherever you are in your life, in the words of Maestro Fresh Wes, good old Canadian boy, stick to your vision. I hope that wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing now, that you remember this, my friends. You remember that you need a strong foundation. And the only way to do that is to give yourself some self-love. Be selfish. Take the time for yourself. Take the time to regroup. And meditate. Be silent. One of my favorite lines is, there's a lot of knowledge in the silence. Listen to your heart. Take a moment and go outside and listen to the birds. Listen to the wind. Listen to how the wind moves the leaves of the trees. Go outside and be in your heart. Connect with your heart, my friends, because your heart will never ever steer you in the wrong direction. Go and get yourself a solid foundation. Go after your dreams. Go after the things that you love. I want to read something to you that was sent to me from now a dear friend. Her name's Miss Teresa. She's an incredible woman. It's a conversation between me and God. Hey, God. God answers, hello. I'm falling apart. Can you put me back together? God responds, I would rather not. And I say, why? Because you aren't a puzzle. Well, what about all the pieces of my life that are falling down onto the ground? God says, let them stay there for a while. They fell off for a reason. Take some time and decide if you need any of those pieces back. God, you don't understand me. I'm breaking down. God says, no, you're not. You don't understand. You are breaking through. What you are feeling are just growing pains. You are shedding the things and the people in your life that are holding you back. You aren't falling apart. You are falling into place. Relax, take some deep breaths, and allow those things you don't need anymore to fall off of you. Quit holding on to the pieces that don't fit you anymore. Let them fall off. Let them go. Yeah, but God, once I start doing that, what will I be left? What will be left of me? And he responds, only the very best pieces of you. I'm scared of changing. I keep telling you, you aren't changing. You are becoming. Becoming who? Becoming who I created you to be. A person of light and love and charity and hope and courage and joy, mercy and grace and compassion. I made you more than the shallow pieces you have decided to adorn yourself with, that you cling to with such greed and fear. Let these things fall off of you. I love you. Don't change. Become. Become. Become who I made you to be. I'm going to keep telling you this until you remember it. Well, there goes another piece. Yep, let it be. So I'm not broken? Of course not. But you are breaking like the dawn. It's a new day. Become. Yeah, my friends. I'm becoming. And I hope that you are becoming. Or rather, know that you are becoming. Hello, Franny. I'm so happy you're here for the final edition of the Coffee and Biscotti Show. Taking a break for the summer. Going to build my foundation. Going to make it strong so that I can come back and provide all my friends and family and listeners the best guests. But again, I'm going to reiterate this if you're just joining us. I want you to go onto YouTube where this is going to be placed, or look me up on Facebook or on Instagram or on LinkedIn and share with me. Share with me the content that you want to touch on. Something that's going to impact your life. It has been nothing short of a pleasure and an honor to be with you every Friday for almost a year and a half, or over a year and a half. And while sad, I'm hopeful. And I know that I will come back to join all of you again here on Twitch. It may not be the Coffee and Biscotti Show, but it'll be something that I promise you will touch your heart. Josh, if you have an opportunity to write a couple of words, I'd love to hear them. Franny, you know I love you, girl. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I haven't been very active, but I'm really being selfish now and working on myself. But I want to thank you, and I don't know if you caught that, Franny, but before you came on, I said, I want to give a couple of special shout outs. And of course, you and your friend Vera were one of them, or Vera was one of them. So, my friends, as I bid you adieu, again, I want to thank everyone for joining me. Josh, is there any way that we can raid anywhere today? Thank you, Franny. I will, and I hope that you're taking care of yourself too. Be selfish, girl. No one's going to help you succeed in life. You have to put the effort. What you need is good support and good friends and good people around you. I hope we can raid away Josh today. Maybe we can lighten up the mood with some music. But I am feeling a bit sad. I really love doing this. I really love doing this show. In fact, I was going to come on here for a few minutes. And here we are 40 minutes later. If anyone's ever heard the phrase a labor of love, it is very evident that this is a labor of love for you, Mel. No matter how evolved, that will be constant. Yes, we can, but I won't be able to be in the chat due to the flaky Wi-Fi. No problem. You do that, Franny. You make sure you take care of yourself. And thank you, Josh. You can raid us away, my friend, anytime. I will see you all in September. I will be posting on my social media, rebranding the show, and again, working on me. So, as I end every show, from my heart to yours and your families, have yourself an awesome Friday and an even awesomer weekend. I love you all. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to me rant for 40 minutes. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, Josh. You can raid away. Franny, much love to you, girl. This is Crew Mal saying, I'm out of here. Peace.